Everybody, and just a few words to thank Hanna Liventseva, who's a colleague, researcher now at Geosciences Barcelona from CSIC, and especially to all the colleagues that are connecting from Ukraine, and we are very thankful that you prepared these interesting talks on a very interesting subject for this institute and geothermal energy where we are working. We look forward to learn from you on the potential in Ukraine, and we also look forward for future cooperation. And I pass the word to Hanna, who will introduce the presenters and also the conference. Thank you, Hanna.
Thank you. My name is Hanna Liventseva, and I'm a researcher in Geosciences Barcelona, and I'm happy to be a part of this wonderful team of Geosciences Barcelona. I work in the project is assessment of the geothermal potential of Catalonia in the frame of the big program, CSIC Scientist Cooperation Program with Ukraine. My principal investigator is María José Jurado. One of my main tasks is to build a communication between geological organizations in Spain and Ukraine, and between researchers from both countries. We are prepared a series of conferences called Global Vision of Ukrainian Geology. Today we are having the conference Future of Geothermal Energy in Ukraine. Thank you for the opportunity to organize this important event. Thank you very much. I'm happy to introduce my Ukrainian colleagues and our reports. The first presentation, Geothermal Overview of Ukraine, Yulia Demchuk, Public Organization Geothermal Ukraine, Hanna Liventseva, Geosciences Barcelona, CSIC. This report includes general information about Ukrainian geothermal and focuses on geological aspects of Ukrainian geothermal. The next speaker is Dr. Andriy Lokhtev. He is director of private company Institute of Geology. Now he is in the Armed Forces of Ukraine. He presents his presentation potential of Transcarpathian for deep and recent geothermal exploration. The next speaker is Professor Dr. Alexander Kondrat, head of the Department of Oil and Gas Exploration from Ivano-Frankivsk National Technical University, Oil and Gas. Preliminary feasibility study of repurposing the idle oil and gas wells into geothermal in Dolina City, Ivano-Frankivsk region of the west of Ukraine. The next speaker is Taras Popadinets from Public Organization Geothermal Ukraine, Geoenergy Potential of Western Ukraine for Sustainable Development and Energy Transformation. And we have special participants of our conference, scientists from the Geothermal Department of the Institute of Renewable Energy of National Academy of Science of Ukraine, with presentation Geothermal Development in Ukraine. Authors of this presentation, Dr. Yuri Morozov, head of the Department of Geothermal Energy of this institute, Dr. Oleg Lysak, researcher of this department, Dr. Alexey Zuryan, deputy director of this institute, and Anastasia Barilla, researcher of this department. So I would suggest us to listen to all the presentation, and after that you can ask your questions. Maybe it will be useful for us. Please, Yulia, you can start showing our presentation.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So, hello, everyone. My name is Yulia Demchuk, and I am a representative of NGO Geothermal Ukraine. I will shortly introduce myself. I am graduated from Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv Institute of Geology as a petroleum geologist, and I had work experience in conducting of gravity survey in Ukraine for the search and exploration of structural and non-structural oil and gas traps. And another my work experience related with EU-funded project coordination and implementation of R&D projects under the Horizon 2020 program. And the main experience of the projects concerns the researches on geothermal energy development in Ukraine as analysis, a community-based system, and collecting the geothermal data from Ukraine in order to establish European Fluid Atlas. And for the last year, I was involved in a project for analysis on the potential underground gas storages in Ukraine as a potential hydrogen storage and investigations the gas transportation system of hydrogen transportation. And for the last time, we are working jointly with EU partners on application regarding carbon capture, utilization and storage projects. And now as a board member of Geothermal Ukraine, I jointly with my colleagues efforts to develop geothermal potential in Ukraine. Let me thank you one more time for organizing this event and opportunity to meet you all and to tell more about geothermal in Ukraine. And I'm going to make a presentation about current situation of geothermal resources of development. And let me share my screen. So one moment. Do you see?
Very well. Thank you.
Okay, good. And my presentation will describe the world statistic of geothermal energy capacity, Ukraine place in global scale, information about geothermal resources and the most promising regions in Ukraine, as well as the key stakeholders and legislation frameworks. So I guess all you know that geothermal energy is heat produced deep in the Earth's core, and that the geothermal energy is a renewable type with the following advantages like baseload, domestic, small footprint, and clean resources. Wells ranging from a few meters to several kilometers can be drilled into underground reservoir to tap steam and very hot water that can be brought to the surface for use in a variety of applications, including electricity generation, direct use, and heating and cooling. So geothermal energy has been used on a large scale in more than 40 countries of the world and more than 50 years for the electricity, for the direct use. And today in more than 21 countries, heat energy is transformed into electricity. This map illustrates a global geothermal power in the world, and geothermal hotspots regions are in Asia Pacific, USA, North America, Europe, Latin America, and Middle and East Africa. Today, only 5% of geothermal potential is used worldwide from 380 gigawatts. So in this figure illustrates in details the top 10 geothermal countries, and the total installed geothermal power capacity at the end of 2022 stood at more than 16 megawatts. And the 1 gigawatts country clubs unites USA, Indonesia, Philippines, Turkey, and New Zealand. In this figure, we can find Ukraine in a global space scale. So in this geothermal power database published by International Geothermal Association, Ukraine is marked as geothermal energy can be used direct only. So let's investigate Ukraine more deeper. Geothermal energy in Ukraine has been studied in the middle of 15th century, or 50s of the last century, and since then numerous of prospecting and exploration works for thermal waters have been carried out in certain regions of Ukraine, and 100 geothermal wells were drilled. A lot of maps were created, and geothermal resources were estimated. The development of geothermal technologies for the exploitation of deep underground waters took place in the 18th and 19th last centuries. And since that and until now, the geothermal development was slowly and was not proceed as well as it could be due to the lack of national support of financing programs. And today we need to restore this activity and provide more geothermal researches to ensure energy safety of Ukraine. Ukraine has potential for the development of geothermal energy, and due to the country's thermogeological features and specificities of its geothermal resources. And geothermal resources in Ukraine consist, first of all, of thermal waters and of the heat dry rocks. And they could be represented by the following types of sources. The first one is shallow geothermal that can be supported by heat pumps installations. The second one is used with the help is a thermal waters, which can be used with the help of heat and electricity generating unit. And the last one is deep geothermal, which is presented by heat dry rocks. Geothermal resources include heated water resource from operating oil and gas wells that can be promising for industrial use. And the resource of thermal and superheated water are formed at depths exceeding 1 kilometers. So Ukraine has significant resources of geothermal energy, and the total potential is estimated at 438 multiplied by 10 kilowatts per hours per year, which was approved in the program of state support for the development of non-traditional and renewable energy sources. And annual technically achievable energy potential of geothermal energy in Ukraine is equivalent to 8.4 million ton oil equivalent, and that is used to save around 10 billion cubic meter of natural gas. So the distribution of geothermal resources in Ukraine is primarily determined by the heat flow and formation, which depends on geological age of the area and, of course, of the activity of tectonic and magmatic processes. On the map from the left, we can see the distribution of deep flow heat, and on the map of the right, we can find the main tectonic structures of Ukraine. And we can find that the most prospective geothermal zones are in the west, in the east, and in the south of Ukraine. All these zones are related with the following structures. Carpathian fault and thrust belt region in the west that consist Transcarpathia, Carpathian mountains, and Precarpathian depression. Dnipro-Donetsk depression and Donetsk fault region in the east, and Black Sea basin, as well as Scythian plate in the south. According to the values of heat flow, the Ukrainian territory is divided into 3 zones, And you can see in this table these zones and the main characteristics. So the first one is low thermal flow zone with heat flow near 2260 milliwatt per square meter, and geothermal gradient in most cases it doesn't exist than 2 Celsius degrees per 100 meters. So it's referred to the relative young geological folding regions such as Crimea and Carpathian Mountains. The second one is the intermediate values of heat flow, and with the heat flow near 50-70 and the geothermal gradient, it doesn't exist 3 and 3.5 Celsius degrees per 100 meter. And so the main regions which include steppe Crimea, Donetsk Fault Belt, and Transcarpathian region. And the central part of Dnipro-Donetsk basin and depression is characterized by relatively favorable geothermal conditions within the heat flow varies from 70 to 90. And the last zone is the highest heat flows, is heat flow more than 80. And geothermal gradient is more than 8.4, is near 8.4 Celsius degrees, and these zones are observed in Transcarpathian depression, in the center part of Crimea Peninsula, and in the Black Sea coast. It should be mentioned that all these regions are referring to 3 oil and gas bearing basins in Ukraine. So in the west, it's Western Ukrainian regions which consist of Volhyno-Podilska, Precarpathian, Carpathian, Transcarpathian oil and gas provinces. In the east is Dnipro-Donetsk oil and gas basin, and in the south is South Crimea oil and gas basin. The first estimation of geothermal resources in Ukraine was implemented in 1979, and the present time result of these calculations are officially accepted and approved by the State Commission of Ukraine on Mineral Resources Reserves, and approved the cogeneration potential of geothermal water resources is near 27.3 million cubic meter per day, and their thermal power capacity at 351 million gigajoules per year. So on this map, you can see regions of Ukraine divided by prospective levels as highly promising, really promising, potentially promising, not very, and unpromising. And as I mentioned earlier, according to the geological structural features, the most promising for the development of geothermal in Ukraine regions are Transcarpathia and Precarpathian depression in the west, steppe and Black Sea coast in the south. Both of them, according to geological and geophysical data, rock temperature there at depths up to 6 kilometers can reach 230 up to 275 Celsius degrees. And the last promising is Dnipro-Donetsk depression in the east. So the most promising and currently suitable for technical use sources of geothermal energy in Ukraine is thermal water, the projected energy potential of which is presented in the table, and accordingly in the map you can see. So we can find on this table and map 9 main regions of Ukraine for use of geothermal energy. And it's Transcarpathia, Mykolaiv region, Odessa, Poltava, Sumy, Kharkiv, Kherson, Chernihiv, and Crimea. And indicators like of heat carrier extracted during operation with reservoir pressure support, and heat potential of thermal water are presented here, you can see. And I will not go into details with the technical parameters and geothermal capacities. Otherwise, in the next slide, we will shortly we're looking at geological characteristics of these promising regions. So the first promising regions is the West Carpathian geothermal region, which is confined to the two main tectonic zones. There are Precarpathian and Transcarpathian depressions, which are characterized very complicated geological structure. So the rock temperature of wells were drilled in the Carpathian at the depths of 4 kilometers reach 210 Celsius degrees, and the temperature of underground water is more than 150 Celsius degrees. So it's necessary for the effective functioning of geothermal power plants require much lower depths from 1 to 1.5 kilometers than other favorable for these places. And the thermal waters of Transcarpathian deposit are very highly mineralized. Transcarpathian depression is a geological structure which was formed because of neogen tectonomagmatic activation of the internal Carpathians, and is characterized by wide distribution of volcanic tectonic structure resulted from volcanic center of that time. And these slides illustrate the two cross sections options through the Transcarpathian depressions in different locations. So we can see how complicated structure is here with a lot of faults, fractures, and tectonic disturbances. In Transcarpathia, near 30 deposits and manifestations of thermal waters and brines of various chemical compositions are now, like Берегове, Косино, Залужья, Tereblia, and a lot of others. And currently, they use only low temperature thermal waters only for recreation purposes. In the future, it's advisable to use available medium and high temperature thermal waters for energy. And it should be mentioned that there are one of the most prospective area in Mukachevo region. The last structure is and second tectonic zone within Carpathian region is the Precarpathian depression, and it's a young alpine region of crustal subsidence, which is located between Carpathian mountains and Volhyno-Podilsky plate. And you can see on the structural map that Precarpathian depression are marked yellow at this map. And you can find here cross section, which visualize that there is the same situation, complicated tectonic structure. The second promising region of the development of geothermal energy is the territory of the Black Sea Artesian Basin, which includes Steppe Crimea and the Black Sea coast. The last one is composed of Odessa and Kherson region. And the depths of the drilled wells in Crimea are small, up to near 2 kilometers, and the temperature of the thermal waters is near 50-70 Celsius degrees with the mineralization 2070. Steppe Crimea, you can see in the map marked in yellow, is a flat plain connected to the Scythian platform, and the surface is formed by marine neogen and continental watery sediments. And it's estimated that the resources of Kerch Peninsula are the most promising for the development of geothermal energy. And in this slide, you can find the structural map which illustrate Crimea, and also the cross-section through the Kerch Peninsula. And currently, the use of geothermal in Crimea, there is use only low geothermal resources, and it's used only for heat supply purposes. And Crimean thermal waters used in such resorts like Saki, Eupatoria, maybe you can hear, and as well as in some settlements for bath and heating. And the flow rates of individual wells here reach from 2 up to 4,000 cubic meter per day. And there are more than 50 thermal springs. And regarding to prospect use, of course, hundreds of wells which are drilled here could be used for built power plants. And however, you know that temporary occupation of Crimea and war in Ukraine brought stop this activity, unfortunately. And the last promising areas are concerns as a central part of Dnipro-Donetsk depression, and heat flows in this area vary from 70 up to 90, and geothermal gradients don't exist 3.5. And Dnipro-Donetsk depression is a graben with a depth up to 20 kilometers. It's divided into two sides, north and south. And in terms of lithology, the basin is mainly represented of terraneous sediments. And in addition, three salt-bearing strata are developed here. And Dnipro-Donetsk depression is one of the most popular oil and gas bearing provinces in Ukraine. And on these slides, you see the cross sections through the depression on the right side and on the left. And on the right side, you can find columnar stratigraphic sections. And I will not go into details as it's another huge topic need to be discussed. And in Dnipro-Donetsk depression, prospect use of geothermal resources is related with deep geothermal power plants and power plants building. And a lot of assessments shows that on the basis of oil and gas wells, it's possible to build geothermal power plants with the depth of drilling or opening of wells up to from 3 up to 4.5 kilometers. So the main target of use of the geothermal resources is the production of electricity. And this table gathered data about main regions with geothermal deposits and parameters for the development of electricity in Ukraine. And estimated parameters you can see here are drilling depth, water temperature, deposit area, efficiency, and power and geothermal power. So as you see, Ukraine has a huge potential of the geothermal development of geothermal electricity. So if we are talking about key stakeholders in Ukraine, we should understand that in Ukraine, geothermal energy resources are at the initial state of the development. And there are a lot of institutes under the National Academy of Science of Ukraine working on researches. And today now, in terms of decarbonization, some state and private drilling companies try to change their policy and develop geothermal. And of course, a big part in transition to clean and affordable renewable energy source plays to public organizations as well as Geothermal Ukraine. to increase the safety and well-being of Ukrainians. And all stakeholders need to combine their efforts only with one aim, to proceed geothermal energy in Ukraine. And also it's important, very important, to establish cooperation and synergize with leading international organization in geothermal. On this slide, you can see a legislative base of geothermal energy in Ukraine. And regarding prospects of the development, it should be mentioned that in recent years, in legislative basis of Ukraine, a lot has been done to regulate legal relations in the field of geothermal energy, conservation, scientifically proven natural resources management, environmental protection, development of, in general, development of alternative and renewable energy resources, including geothermal waters. So the main documents are the Codex on Subsoil, Water Codex, and the Law of Alternative Energy Source. But despite all the achievements you can see on this slide, Ukraine has gone through a difficult and hard path to the adoption of Ukrainian legislation to the EU. And finally, to summarize, I would like to say that Ukraine is abundant in geothermal energy resources with her three promising regions in Transcarpathian, Crimea, and Dnipro-Donetsk basin. And those geothermal resources are important and very promising in national energy production, and geothermal energy should become one of the leading branches of the country's heat and power industry in the future. Thank you very much for your attention. I stop sharing my screen.
Muchas gracias. Muchísimas gracias, Julia. Дуже дякуємо. The next speaker is Dr. Andrei Loktev, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I will stop video and just jump to the presentation. Okay, can you see the screen?
Well,
Do you see the screen?
Yes, yes. Maybe put in presentation mode, but we see the screen, we see the slides.
Can you see my presentation or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So my presentation is briefly about potential of Transcarpathian for deep and recent geothermal exploration within Transcarpathian. Just a couple words about me. I'm a head of supervisory board, Institute of Geology R&D. My background is from oil and gas domain. I hold 2 master's degree. One of them is in petroleum geology, and the second one is in management. I also an author of PhD thesis, which are very related to geothermal potential of the Transcarpathia. So my first experience in exploration or research of geothermal dates back to 2012, when one of businessmen just found me as I was a young researcher, and he was planning to build a geothermal well for the purpose of heating. So it was my first interaction with geothermal practical, and currently already 5 wells, geothermal wells in Transcarpathia have been drilled, all of them successful, and we see more and more interest, also taking into account the price for energy resources in Ukraine, which are extremely high because of the war which Russia has started against Ukraine. So we can see a very bright future for geothermal in Ukraine. So what is the Transcarpathian for deep? Just briefly, we'll go through. Transcarpathian for deep is a part of Pannonian Basin. It is an inner basin, but it's interesting not only in geologic terms, but also in economic.
Андрій, я прошу вибачення, не переключаються слайди, не бачимо.
Can you see?
Він не переключається. Ми бачимо перший слайд і не переключається далі. Може, я
No.
супер, є. Все.
Okay, so Transcarpathian Depression is a part of Pannonian Basin, the big Pannonian Basin, which has significant geothermal potential. But what is interesting, not only from geologic terms, but also economic. Ukraine now making efforts to involve into all European Union activities, and that is why just a close distance to European Union countries such as Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania is very important and significant. That is why a potential of Transcarpathian depression is makes even more attractive rather than other parts of Ukraine, which hold also geothermal potential. So you can see that Transcarpathian depression is borders with outer Carpathians, which are rather cold than hot. When we talk about potential of rocks, and it is also divided from other Pannonian Basin by igneous rocks, by volcanic rocks, and tectonic faults. So it was during the process of Carpathian formation, it was separate inner basin. It has a structure where young neogen sediments lay on pre-neogen folded basement. So you can see how many tectonic faults there are, and it is a structural map of the basement, and it consists of separate blocks, which are presented by different age sediments. Some pre-neogen blocks are presented with Jurassic, some of them Triassic, some of them Paleogene. So in the period of historic development of this territory, these blocks were separate islands at different times. And you can see the purple color are igneous rocks, which just indicates that territory is related to volcanic activities. Why is Transcarpathian for deep now? Because it is one of the most heated territories in Ukraine, and you can see it just on the west, on the extreme west. You can see that there are maximums of heat flow within Ukraine. Here is another map by Gordienko. It is map of temperatures at 0.5 kilometers. Another one of the same author at the 3 kilometers depth. And this is a map created by me. So we took different, as much deep wells as we could. We look at temperature logs of different years, different wells. Those were structural maps, oil and gas wells, shallow wells, all kind of wells we took into account, which we could, and we found maximums and minimums area with the potential and defined where the potential is very high and where it's lower. So here is another map. This is one at the depths, temperatures are at the depths minus 1,000 meters, another one 2,000 meters, and one more at minus 3,000 meters. As the previous speaker told, yes, there are two historic wells which indicated the temperature at the depth 4,000 meters, which exceeded 200 degrees Celsius. So it's all proven. It gives confidence in the distribution of heat within the Transcarpathian depression. And I also create a map of plus 50 degrees Celsius surface within Transcarpathia. So as you can see, there is also very bright, meaning that the geologic structure of Transcarpathia is very complicated, but holds different potential in different places of Transcarpathia. And as I told, we've completed 5 out of 5 successful wells. Geothermal, we keep doing researches for different stakeholders which are interested in obtaining heat, mostly heat. So this is the process of completing well. This well was completed in February, and we are currently doing sample analysis, doing research on water well production. This well is absolutely successful, and I will jump back to this slide. What we did is, it was like my idea not to take geothermal in Neogene, but we could take in Neogene, but at the place where well located, there are presented Paleogene sediments. So understanding that these sediments have significantly bigger age rather than Neogene, it was my idea to take the water out of Paleogene, making Paleogene main target while well testing. So you can see on the picture on the left, just clear water, which we obtained. After several minutes, water is making absolutely black and untransparent. So on the picture on the right, you can see it on the left side. And after a day, it becomes more transparent, and in 2 days it's getting back absolutely clear, making some residues on the top of the bottle. So So at this time, we are doing different analysis. And what is unique about particularly this well, this results is that this water, first of all, it's thermal water, it's mineral water, highly mineralized, mineralization about 40 grams per liter. And another thing, it seems to be a radon water, which is absolutely unique for Transcarpathian. No radon waters have been defined in Transcarpathians before. We were the first. What will be the purpose of this water? First of all, it's balneology, it's swimming pools. Second, the heat from this water will be used for heating a big hotel complex, many buildings. And another thing, what is unique is we will do the first football field heating by thermal water in Ukraine. Absolutely no one did it before in Ukraine. We will be the first. You can see here there are a lot of direct use thermal waters in Transcarpathia. You can see different swimming pools from different part of Transcarpathia, but the potential is much higher. In terms of mineral extraction. There are absolutely different minerals in all parts of Transcarpathia in terms of dissolved minerals in geothermal waters. This water should be used for food and light industry, and there is significant potential for electricity production. So what we are doing currently, yes, we are moving on different geothermal projects in Transcarpathia on different stages, right now, but we are on early stage in a big geothermal project, which will affect food and light industry of Ukraine. So the economy is very good because energy prices are very high. Transcarpathia has big advantages being close to European Union countries, and there is a plenty of historic wells which can be easily technically reopened, and there are legal ways to use them. So we're gonna get involved in a process of industrializing regions with big thermal potential in terms of moving industries such as food industry, such as light industry, to regions with excellent thermal potential. And we believe in a bright future. These projects are absolutely profitable. They what is needed to be or might be funded are just scientific analysis, some scientific research at early stages. But these projects, they when real at the terms of realization of them, they don't need any state support or any fundings from non-business purposes. They are very, very profitable. So this is about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrei. Thank you. Andrei is director of private company, Geological Institute, doctor of geology. And the next speaker, Alexander Kondrat, professor, doctor of science from Ivano-Frankivsk National Technical University. Please, Alexander. Включіть, будь ласка, мікрофон. Ми вас не почули.
Good morning. Sorry
Good
to
morning.
everyone. I'm Alexander Konrad. I represent Ivano-Frankivsk Oil and Gas University. And thank you for the opportunity to represent today some part of our study. Repurposing of abundant oil wells for harvesting of geothermal energy is the main scope of the present study. Globally, there are a myriad of abundant oil wells. It's obvious that most of them can be excluded for such reasons as a technical condition, concerns of long-term integrity, poor location, for example, offshore or otherwise remote from consumers, poor economy, poor or unsustainable performance, flow rate, temperature at wellhead, ownership issues. In some studies, from 10 to 20% of screened wells were regarded as potential candidates. Technically, retrofitting of oil wells into geothermal wells is fairly straightforward. It's generally estimated that using retrofitted wells reduces investment costs by from 40 to 50% compared to drilling new energy wells. Drilling the last 15 years extensive research work has been done to evaluate the potential of using abundant oil and gas wells to harvest geothermal energy and to develop technical solutions for it. This R&D is still ongoing, and the final mainstream solutions have not yet been identified. The idea of repurposing existing abundant wells is fairly new, and only some pilot projects have been implemented using a similar doublet scheme as with the HSAS. The system consists at least one injection well and one extraction well. The number of the injection wells and extraction wells need not be the same. A fluid is pumped through an injection well into a reservoir where it gains heat from surrounding rocks before it's circulated through the extraction well. So we have the same system for water flooding system if we would like to enhance oil recovery process. Novel schemes have also been developed, especially such that use only one borehole called single well scheme above. An abundant oil well can be retrofitted to a closed loop system by sealing the bottom and installing either a U-tube or a double pipe heat exchanger. One approach is to use a coaxial borehole consisting of two concentric tubes. The circulating fluid is injected through annular space and produced at the wellhead through producing tubing or vice versa. Only a few such systems have been implemented and the results are mixed. The coaxial system is shown in the following picture, demonstrated heat flows, as you can see from this slide. What about the project which we have already done? And I would like to represent some results. The potential project aims at using idle old oil and gas wells to produce geothermal energy. The primary use of such heat would be municipal heating, where this clean energy can be used for heat supply to the city's buildings. This would lead to decreased consumption of fossil fuels for heating purpose. Also, geothermal energy could potentially be used for electricity production. The overall object of assignment was to study the technical and financial possibilities to utilize carbon-free geothermal energy for municipal heating needs by utilizing old oil wells. The feasibility study was prepared for one municipality, the city of Dolina, but also overall nationwide geothermal potential from similar heat source was assessed. As you can see from this in this picture, we have 6 wells, and these 6 wells have been identified to be suitable candidates for the present study. By the way, it's the central part of the city Dolina, and it's very close to the municipal buildings where we can use like this source of energy. The next researchers provide a high-level SWOT analysis for each of the selected wells and anticipates remedial physical well intervention assessments that should be considered to establish integrity prior to any development. The activities suggested don't constitute a detailed workover program, and operations suggested are known and well-established oil and gas industry practices. The study has not looked at the possibility of side tracks or multilateral completions, primarily a consequence of age and the unknown condition of the production casing. In this study, initial findings suggest 2 wells which would be classified as a high risk and not considered for utilization, and another 2 wells, it's a moderate risk wells, and 2 more wells classified as a low risk wells. The field geological model was received in rescue format from the big geological model of Dolina oil field and converting the wells of interest. 4 wells had complete trajectory data, whereas 2 had only surface location indicated. The model covers a thick section of the sediments that contained hydrocarbons. The section is well over 1,000 meters thick, and wells 203 and 239 are shown in this on this slide. The porosity in the area is reasonable. Blue color in the next slide, in the next picture, shows low or no possibility. The brighter colors indicate increasing porosity when changing from the blue to red. The structure of the area of interest is depicted in the next figure, and in the same fold block, so they can be used for circulating water without having to consider the fold seal. However, it might be beneficial to use the potential flow barrier to slow down the progress of a cold front. So well, number 60, as you can see from this picture, could be a potential or production or injection well. Wells 60 and 200 are located at the distance 2,000 meters from each other. This would be a reasonable distance to have between the injector and the producer in a geothermal doublet. 2 cases were run. The first one, the wells brought on production injection in the reservoir as it currently exists, with the oil and water filling the pore space. And the next case, to estimate the effect of the impurities in the reservoir fluid oil have on the productivity of the doublet. The difference between the two scenarios is 80% more productivity from water only being produced. So the next picture. Sorry. As the rates available for the first doublet were very low, a set of 2 doublets was devised. In this scenario, the injectors and producers were alternate in such a manner that first the innermost wells, number 203 and 239, were producers, and the outer owns, the other wells, 20 and 200, were injectors. The well's completion details were updated to be closer to what is understood to be the current situation, with the nominal 89 meters tubing installed. In our researches, we use a special software CMG. It's a Canadian modeling group, module STARS. It's a semi-analytical well model. Was used to calculate the pressure losses and the well bores of both injectors and producers. In both cases, the injection rates were set at a nominal 2000 cubic centimeters per day with the 40,000 kilopascal upper pressure limit at reservoir. The production rates were set at the same target rate, 2000 cubic centimeters per day, at a low flowing reservoir pressure of 200 kilopascal. As the reservoir is not very permeable, the total liquid rate for both doublets started at 140 cubic centimeters per day and declining to 60 centimeters per day over 10 years. It can be assumed that the reservoir has equilibrated too close to the initial condition, as the pressure maintained by water injection at 26,000 kilopascal. The total volumes produced and injected are modest, some 280,000 cubic centimeters water injected and 40,000 cubic centimeters oil produced. The modular production data is very close to the historical data, as the received model had been previously calibrated on a full field scale. The geothermal gradient in the area is high, indicated a huge thermal resources. Unfortunately, the productivity of the wells is not sufficient to maintain economic flow rates. Some other heat recovery methods will have to be applied for economic energy production. Ever of Canada has a demonstration plant in using their methods, and it's planned that such would be used in Germany. It's a pity use of geothermal doublets doesn't sustain economic flow rates. In the next studies, we are planning to make some simulations with the hydraulic fracturing, or to choose another area with the big permeable and the possibility to get more water, hot water, from such system of wells. So thank you for your attention. And that's all.
Thank you, Alexander. Thank you very much. Next participants, next speaker is Taras Papadinets. He reports about the geothermal potential of Western Ukraine for sustainable development and energy transition. About Western region, because it's the main region in Ukraine now. in development of geothermal energy. Please, Taras.
Good morning, everyone. Benvenuto a todos. Доброго ранку всім. Одну секунду, I will be sharing my screen then.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes. We see, yeah, maybe full screen presentation mode.
Just a second, I have to. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
now.
Great, let's start. So my name is Taras Popodinis. I'm representing recently founded NGO Geothermal Ukraine. This is the R&D non-profit organization. Yeah, a few words about ourselves. We established one year ago, and our main target is to enhance the energy transition goal to the clean geoenergy sources, and to, let's say, increase the Ukrainian energy system status, let's say, to improve it, to be honest. Yeah, the main objective for us at the moment is R&D projects, which are like geothermal energy regulating from the oil and gas perspective, because as you might hear, we have a huge well inventory, which might be potentially repurposing. And before that, we have to evaluate all this capacity in terms of energy resources, as well as critical raw materials extraction potentials, which we are already working on. The other is the knowledge transition, the implementing the relevant skills and expertise, the promotion of the new technologies application in transition from E&P sector to geothermal one within the energy industry, and complying with the EU policies and energy transition strategy like Green Deal, REPowerEU, etc. So our mission is as a key energy transition driver to enhance these best practices and the knowledge transfer between the global industry to local stakeholders, accumulate these practices and the experience from the key industry leaders, and to apply it within the local specific geological structure in Ukraine, promote the implementation of energy transition to renewable geothermal particular resources, and development of the scientific and practical basis of opportunities in Earth's energy potential. So the values is to synergize academic and professional communities, which GEO already done and continue growing as a public organization. So we are now combining 10 participants, 10 members within the different expertise. It's like reservoir modeling, geology, well drilling and design, petrophysics, geophysical, ecology, etc. We also highly collaborate with local and international organization in the relevant field, and and we are complying with the EU Global Compact. So we've already set it up in our charter as the organizational main document. The current status of our membership and cooperation status. So we are cooperating with Ivano-Frankivsk University, with the Icelandic professional community. One of them, the key partner here, is a company Verkis, and with Zagreb University, particularly with Dubrovnik Petroleum Summer School, which provide us unique opportunities to participate in the events related to geothermal energy. And also we have the partnership and collaboration with Geothermal Canada due to the very much relevant oil and gas history, and potentially opportunities and relevant issues within the well integrity. And yeah, we are trying to share our knowledge, to collaborate, and looking for the best potentials to improve our level. So also we are part of this community called INERC for participation in the geothermal related researches, and as well as the Petroleum Exploration Society of Great Britain and the Society of Petroleum Engineers. Actually, as of the latest one, I'm the officer of that, representing the international relationships, where we have this initiative between 10 sections around Europe for conducting the relevant lectures in terms of geothermal perspective, and also from the potential of gathering the best practices and experience from oil and gas. So, taking into account the current policy and instruments for Ukraine, there is one very good document which was set up a few years ago under the support of Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Iceland, and it conducts lots of researches within Ukrainian geothermal capacities, and describe the lots of opportunities there based on the current well history and also potential stakeholders. As of the geothermal potentials from the oil and gas bases, you were able to hear from my predecessors regarding the current situation as of the oil and gas basins and the wells drilled, the legacy wells in place. So here I would also emphasize this is a huge potential, which we are considering as our key priority. We are looking for gathering and analysis all this well history, and due to the big volume of that, it's around 10,000, yeah. So, and half of them on the western part. We are looking for building this digital database. I highlighted some example made by the US government organization. This is a great tool to have all the necessary information in place, and I would say that our government started such an initiative already, so we have something, and we might improve this and fulfill with the relevant databases of surface data, which might be the very good source of information for the geothermal projects, and not only geothermal, but all the geo-related projects. Yeah, so we are looking for also the well integrity issues as of the legacy wells, since it might be the biggest issues within, and also the geological and technical information, which is a little bit might be outdated. So we might even involve the different technologies like geodata science, which we are already trying to implement with our international partners. And not only the geothermal, but also the carbon capture and storage, as well as critical raw materials extraction potentials exist. So it's our next topic to research, and we are looking forward to cooperate with different partners around the Europe on this topic. The current geoenergy project status as of today from our organization. So we are happy to declare that we are going to start this research project in a partnership with our Icelandic company under the Sustainable Development Goals Fund. And yeah, so we are also working on the application in the International Transcarpathian Summer School for looking this potential with the critical raw materials potential in the Transcarpathian region. And also in this, under this project, we signed the cooperation agreement with the company Ukrainian Lithium Corporation. So the company is working for the investment project for first Ukrainian gigafactory for lithium batteries. And yeah, it might be our key stakeholder in this project for research conducting and understanding the full potential on the lithium extraction from geothermal and oil and gas wells formation water. So what is deep geothermal projects ongoing? We will be I will be highlighting this as a key priority at the moment. So we have just a few projects at the moment from this perspective ongoing. One of them is a project of building this electrical heating cogeneration station in the Lviv region near Poland border. And another one is was presented by Dr. Konrad Alexander, is the oil and gas repurposing to geothermal and CCUS in the Ivano-Frankivsk region. There are similar projects under research within the Naftogaz group. So this activity is highly developing, and due to this new situation in geopolitical situation, and as well as energy transition period, all us believe that this is our future. A few words about the critical raw materials potential. So here you will find this kind of standard scheme how it is working, and so there are lots of activities going on in the world, but especially I would highlight this European experience. So the German one is one of the most famous one, and so it's our kind of key priority in this way to working for. And you can find, so the geothermal brine will be will be recovered, and it will be used for separation and then to repump again, and the lithium will be extracted, and it's a very good and famous technology for extraction such a materials. A few words regarding this geothermal potential. So we had the chance to hear our colleagues on that, and I would highlight this from the engineering and technological point of view, to somehow to divide the different potential utilization under the temperature gradient, and so as we can see here on the Transcarpathian depression, we might have different kind of projects, like for direct use, for the hydro and thermal, and as well as electricity generation, which one of the high level one, I would say, as well as the agro-aquacultural potentials. So and this is our future, and the project is, as we might hear, is already ongoing, and we will apply our efforts to increase it and to involve more potential partners to enhance this activity, to do it in the global scale. The energy solution potential in Ukraine, I would highlight that all that potentials which we might think from the geothermal energy, it exists. So it's direct heat projects with the district heating, is agriculture, is the biological spa center potential, electricity and heat cogeneration, it's geoenergy storage, and one of the most promising one and is a hybrid smart district heating energy system. This system is already, let's say, the most promising one due to the different geological perspective, different I would say aspects which might be implemented. So we might apply both geothermal with the solar wind power, and yeah, it will increase the energy, reduce the energy risks, as well as enhance the general energy outcome. And the energy storage, I would also highlight it, since we have some potentials, we still need more research on that, and due to the high attention on such projects in the European market and the world market, we do believe this our kind of future due to this energy risks and the seasonal question. So a few words from the geothermal system. As we might hear it from our colleagues, it is divided into the closed loop and open loop systems. So the closed loop is basically drilled one well with the heat exchanger, which might be on surface, subsurface, for example, etc. And the closed loop is similar as described for water flooding in oil and gas wells, which the injection well and the producing well create this circle system for circulating this fluid and gathering the heat out of the surface. I would also emphasize that during this latest years, there are lots of new R&D projects developed, and new technologies are now under the validation. So we might hear some companies like Seraphy, Everloop, Greenfire, which develop the let's say high-level new technologies which are now under the approval under the commercial projects in the world. So this is how it looks like, for example. So I just screened two versions of them, and yeah, this is a patented version of this of these technologies with different improvements on the basically the most available technologies. Yeah. So and there are also numbers of technologies from oil and gas, which is now substantially applied in geothermal sector. So this is like the technology transition, not only the energy but also technology transition, since oil and gas provides lots of expertise, lots of technologies, and yeah, there are kind of one of them is fishbone drilling, which is already applied in geothermal, and I'm following this technology transition, and I do believe that majority of the energy companies now trying to transit from oil and gas to renewables, and geothermal is one of them. So, and all these technologies and key expertise are now available. So we just need to apply it, to follow it, and to take into account that we might do better and a wider job taking all this capacity from oil and gas. Next steps for geoenergy projects in Ukraine. So as I highlighted before, we are under the R&D, and yeah, we do believe that taking into account the historical data from petroleum industry and involving the best practices and the experience from international related energy companies will provide us the unique opportunity to develop our potential as a geothermal energy potential in Ukraine, and we are looking forward to enhance such a workflow and to do our best in this way to be this driver to involve the best technology providers and the expertise into our projects. In this slide, I would thank you for attention and will be keen to communicate further. Thank you.
Thank you, Taras. And our final presentation, Oleg Lisak, please. Institute of Renewable Energy.
Yes, dear participants of the conference Future of Geothermal Energy in Ukraine, I'm Dr. Oleg Lisak from the Institute of Renewable Energy of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, and it's my pleasure to be speaking to you today at this conference.
Олег, ми вас не бачимо. Переключіться.
I just don't turn camera. Я можу виступити без камери?
Ви можете без камери, ви просто можете завантажити свою презентацію і показувати презентацію, а себе відключити.
Я її завантажив вже? Вона вже відображена зараз на екрані?
Ні, нема, у нас нема.
А в Zoom, а куди її? Я ж її вже завантажував. Хіба не відображається у вас?
Шут-стоп. Зробіть шут-стоп. А, так, Тарас, а ви вийшли, Тарас? Дивіться, я можу запустити вашу презентацію.
Тарас, секундочку, тут вказано. Тарас Попадинець все ще ділиться екраном. Йому треба вийти, тоді я зможу продемонструвати свою думку.
Так, Тарас, вийдіть, будь ласка, з... Все, зараз. Все, є, бачимо.
Дякую.
Так, і вам дякую. 15 хвилин у вас.
Так, я пам'ятаю. Anyway. Okay, let's begin from the beginning. Dear participants of the conference Future of Geothermal Energy in Ukraine, I am Dr. Oleg Lisak from the Institute of Renewable Energy of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, and it is my pleasure to be speaking to you today at this conference. First, I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizers of this event, especially Dr. Hanna Liventseva, for inviting me, my institute, to share our thoughts and insights on the topic at hand. I would also like to acknowledge and thank the previous speaker, Jurado, for mentioning the work of my institute. It's always encouraging to see our efforts recognized and appreciated by our peers in the field. During my presentation, I'll be discussing geothermal development in Ukraine, its history, the role of Institute of Renewable Energy of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine, in its current state and future development. I hope that the insight of my presentation will provide valuable insight and further stimulate discussion of this important subject. I should also mention that although I'm the only presenter now, this presentation was made together with the head of the Department of Geothermal Energy, Dr. Yuri Morozov, also the Deputy Director for Scientific Work at my institute, Dr. Alexey, and most of the information was provided by the scientific work at my department, Anastasia Barilla. Second slide. My institute is a part of the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. The National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine is a leading scientific institution in Ukraine, responsible for advancing scientific knowledge and promoting innovation across various fields. It consists of 160 scientific institutions and 38 organizations of the research and production base. As part of this academy, the Institute of Renewable Energy is dedicated to advancing research and development in the field of renewable energy sources. At the Institute of Renewable Energy, our mission is to explore and develop sustainable energy solutions for Ukraine and beyond. Through our research efforts, we aim to address the challenges of climate change and contribute to the development of a more sustainable future. Our team of experts works tirelessly to advance the field of renewable energy, conducting research on various energy sources, as it's presented on the slide, such as wind, solar, organic energy resources, hydropower, and of course, geothermal energy. This slide provides information on the functions and achievements of the Department of Geothermal Energy, which include conducting theoretical and practical scientific research related to geothermal energy extraction utilization. The department has also developed a geothermal energy information base, creating intellectual property and all state technical standards of Ukraine. The department has published several books in Ukrainian and provided help for an institution like Repurposing, the Icelandic Energy Authority, in providing them information for evaluation of geothermal energy options in Ukraine. The department has received over 25 patents for innovations in utility models. Additionally, the department has developed several state technical standards for geothermal energy, including standards for thermal and electric geothermal stations, as well as terms and definition related to geothermal energy. This slide shows more information about the involvement of my department in various state initiatives and programs, such as a national energy policy in the field of renewable energy sector of Ukraine for integration to the European Union, the national action plan for the development of renewable energy, and the energy strategy of Ukraine. The geothermal department also contributes to the development of a roadmap for geothermal energy until 2035 and provides proposals for the harmonization of international and European Union standards related to renewable energy. In addition to its policy-focused activities, the geothermal department also prepares analytical informational materials and provides scientific support for renewable energy state programs. Overall, the department plays a crucial role in promoting the development and adoption of sustainable energy practices in Ukraine and its efforts to help shape the country's energy policy landscape. Speaking about our international partnership, this slide provides an overview on latest updates on geothermal energy development in Ukraine, as well as the department's international partnership related to this field. The most recent update highlighted on the slide is the European Geothermal Congress, which took place in Berlin the last year. This slide also lists several international partners with whom my department collaborates on informational research and geothermal project implementation. This partner includes, for example, European Federation of Geology, Leibniz Institute for Applied Geophysics, Repurposing, Institute of Earthquake Engineering, Engineering Seismology, and Swedish Environmental Research Institute in Sweden. And speaking about partners, with LIA, currently we are making the plan to enhance and to develop a better geothermal information system in Ukraine. Speaking about our research. This slide provides information on the research side of the Department of Geothermal Energy, specifically for thermal energy storage systems. The department has an experimental system for studying the efficiency of thermal energy storage generated by solar energy in upper aquifers. The slide shows the plan of drilling sites which are used in this experiment with upper aquifers. The department also has the experimental heat pump system, which uses a low potential thermal energy of the upper aquifers. The slide includes photos of the water tanks used in the system and the application for system control, showing the temperature. Finally, there is a scheme of the proposed heat pump system. This slide provides information about the research side of the Department of Geothermal Energy related to improving the efficiency of geothermal systems. The slide features an experimental installation for the study of the process of phase transformation to increase energy efficiency of the use of renewable energy sources and the study of the so-called reversal thermosiphon system. The scheme of proposed reversal thermosiphon system is shown. Additionally, the slide shows the research of geothermal ground heat exchangers of various types and the measuring devices of the experimental hydrothermal heat pump system. And the last of our research activity, which I will present. The slide presents the research conducted by the department for improving the efficiency of geothermal energy extraction. One example of such research is the modeling of heat transfer during the movement of geothermal heated medium in a borehole, which shown the picture on the left. The example picture of temperature field of the borehole rock mass at depth of 3,390 meters presented. Another such research is about the increasing of the rate of geothermal wells using the method of so-called geohydraulic, which is depicted in the theme. The theme shows the pump for injecting light liquid, submersible tube for supplying light liquid to the well itself, permeable underground layer, and some for a mixture of thermal water and light liquid. Speaking about the work done by our institute has been working in the development of geothermal district heating in Ukraine. And however, there were only two regions to install such systems. There was the Carpathian region and Crimea region, currently temporarily occupied by Russia. Systems are classified based on their status: active research, formally active and dismantlement, and their capacity. The wellhead temperatures also listed, ranging from 50 Celsius degrees in Zernove to 85 Celsius degrees in Catalonia. And the only active geothermal district heating system is located in Woodman. This slide presents several maps that show the potential geothermal energy in Ukraine. These maps, previously mentioned in the presentation by Julia Demchuk, were created by the Department of Geothermal Energy and published in the Atlas of Energy Potential Renewable Source by our institute. Yes, and these maps provide important information for identifying the most promising areas for geothermal energy development in Ukraine. This slide shows our interest in the development of geothermal power stations in Ukraine. The first part on the left slide shows a proposed scheme of a binary geothermal power plant with a reduced pressure, which can increase the efficiency of power generation. This scheme is developed by our institute, by Dr. Yuri Murov. The picture on the left, on the right, the second part on the right, indicates only an interest in geothermal lithium extraction, which is becoming increasingly important due to the growing demand for lithium in various industries, including the production of batteries for electric vehicles. By extracting and selling lithium from geothermal brine, power station can generate additional revenue streams and increase their profitability. Additionally, the extraction of minerals from geothermal brine can help offset the cost of environmental regulation associated with disposing of the brine. Therefore, development and implemented technology for the extraction of minerals from geothermal brine is becoming increasingly important for the growth and sustainability of the geothermal industry. This slide shows information about our interest in the development of geothermal more geothermal system with seasonal thermal energy storage. This slide contains two pictures. The picture on the top shows different types of thermal energy storage systems that use water or mix of gravel and water as a heat storage medium for seasonal thermal energy storage. As our institute has already developed other types of seasonal thermal energy storage systems, like with one using aquifer thermal energy storage, as well as using borehole thermal system. And on the left, it shows the combination of geothermal energy with other renewable energy sources such as wind, solar, to produce heat, electricity, and hydrogen. As the Institute of Renewable Energy, we strive to combine various types of renewable energy to achieve the best results in meeting the energy needs of users. On this slide on the left side, you may see the damage done by a Russian air attack on the original building of the Institute of Renewable Energy. And due to the attack, this building can't be used by now, so the Institute has moved to another building. That information is one of many reminders that there is a Russian war against Ukraine. And after that, I would like to mention that in this year, in May, there's going to be an International Scientific and Practical Line Conference, Renewable Energy and energy efficiency of the 21st century in Ukraine, which will take place on May 18-19, 2023 on the Zoom platform organized by my institute. The aim of this conference is to bring together researchers, representatives of business and governmental agencies, educational institutions, investors, and foreign partners. And we would be glad to see you at this conference. Okay, thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine. Now I look forward to answering any questions you may have. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much to all the speakers on behalf of our institution and the Institute of Earth Sciences in Barcelona. We think, we believe this is a first step towards cooperation, a broader cooperation in the future. And I will ask our director, who has been attending the conference, to send you a few words. Santiago Jurado is the CSIC Geosciences Barcelona director. So, it's not, okay.
Yeah, I'm Santiago Jurado. I'm the director of the institute here in Barcelona. I really want to thank you all for the effort you have done putting all together, especially with Hanna for organizing this really interesting meeting. And I fully agree with María José that that's a real first step for doing real good science between us, you and us. So I really want to thank you for all the effort you have done here in organizing and presenting all your results, because I fully agree with you that you have a really nice potential to implement the geothermal energy, and you have the knowledge and the know-how to do that. So we are really we want really to express our wish to help you, to collaborate with you, and to really fully develop all this potential you have in your country to recover from this big disaster you are now in with Russia. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Really, I really appreciate you. Thank you. There's a questions. Do you have any question regarding? I have just couple of questions. Julia showed one presentation, and in one slide she showed, if I'm not wrong, the efficiency of the different sites, and one was around. There is a table towards the end, I guess. No, this one, and you have the efficiency here of the different places, no, right? And Transcarpathia is 1.7% of efficiency. Precarpathia is 1.3%, Crimea is 3.1%, and Eastern Ukrainian region is 14%. No, so it's huge. It's huge. So can you explain why it's so huge, this efficiency?
Yes, I understand what you're asking about. First of all, it's related with a lot of oil and gas wells, as well as abandons and idles. So there are a lot of different investigations, not too much, but there was some, and where was estimated this electricity potential, but a lot of researches also we need to make and to investigate this.
Okay.
The Eastern Ukrainian region is the most prospective and the most one of the most development regarding to oil and gas extraction and producing.
Okay.
And there are thousands of different drills.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Julia. And another question is not for Julia, but for I guess is our third speaker that explained.
Alexander.
It talked about one place that they have tried to implement the yeah, he finally said that it was not really efficient, the system.
Yeah, may I answer on that question instead of Mr. Kondras, since he is now in the lecture?
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah,
yeah, so I'm actually the graduate student under his supervision within the same topic of research. And yeah, I'm very much involved in this topic. And what is your current question? Sorry, can you please repeat it in details?
Yeah, no, the question is, you said, but well, your colleague said that the site was not really efficient, and I would like why you consider that the site is not efficient.
Yeah, so the investigation was made within the open loop system modeling, and the expectation was to achieve the higher bottom hole temperature. But due to the long history of development this oil field, the bottom hole temperature is not equal the expectation, I would say. So the economical outcome will not be as it was expected. So the reevaluation for the closed loop system shall be done within this result. But it is only related to this field, but it is the plan is to also to elaborate the same job for other fields, which is not which has a different bottom hole temperature and geology, let's say.
Okay, thanks a lot for the explanation. Thank you very much. Do you have questions? Not really. Okay.
I think we have questions, but as far as we will keep in touch, I think because it would take too long to develop all of them. So I hope we keep in touch and we continue working together, and we will have many questions and answers and research to carry out together.
Thank you for this event, for the opportunity of organize and create this event. Thank you very much. And I am sure that geothermal energy has a big future in Ukraine, in Spain, and we together will have collaboration in these aspects, in this very important aspects of geology and economy. Thank you very much for your attention. Muchísimas gracias. Perfecta. І дуже дякую моїм українським колегам. Thank you very much. And I'm happy that my Ukrainian colleague is so young and so high level profession. It's very, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Hope for further communications and cooperation with all of you in geothermal development. Goodbye. Muchas gracias.
Hasta pronto.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.